Hi folks, Kenny from ScotPhil here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and I hope you're well. Today I'll talk about vaccines, I'll talk about travel, and I've got another walkabout video. Woohoo! Let's jump in. Vaccines. We've now heard that Pfizer, Moderna and Oxford are well on with testing and getting ready to distribute. Pfizer looks like they'll be first. The UK has an order for I think 40 million jabs from them, about 5 million from Moderna and something like 300 million lot anyway from Oxford, but it could be a little while before they're ready. Now remember, of course, everyone will need to have 2 jabs over a period of about a month. The elderly, the vulnerable, the frontliners, they'll be first, and rightly so. Now, in the UK as a whole, the population is about 67 to 68 million. Of that, about 7 million are over 70. Add to that the vulnerable and the frontliners, and we could be looking at something like about 20 million jabs before they even get to my age group and that of most of my friends. So even if they start administering them in December, it's not going to be the next week when I get mine. We'll just have to wait and see how it's going to be done. I understand they're currently in the process of training volunteers to help with that. And now travel. No further advancement as far as I know on the opening of borders for foreign travel or the rollout of pre-flight testing to other airports and other routes. That all seems to have gone quiet for now. I think myself it'll probably take a mixture of all these things to get us all moving again. I've decided for definite that I'm going to get myself straight to the Philippines and leave the visit to Singapore for another time further in the future. I'm also keen on visiting some family in Australia, and I always said that would be easier once I'm based in Asia rather than trying to do a single trip from here. So maybe a Singapore/Australia combined trip might be something that I'll consider in the near future. Sit back and enjoy. Here's the walkabout video. Okay, here we go. Wee trip over to Fife. Just passing the main entrance to the docks and Customs House on the left there, you'll have seen in a previous video. And here's the access road to the bridge, just straight ahead of us. Just approaching the opposite end of the bridge now, and first stop, Tayport. Now this will be of interest to one of my friends out there, because if I remember correctly, from this point onwards he used to drive a particular vehicle that he would put into neutral and try and coast all the way from here to his house, which was down on Harbour Road. We'll come to that later. Turn into Maitland Street and head on down towards Harbour Road. And here we are at the beginning of Harbour Road, just round this bend here. And I'm sure there's a house in particular that a friend of mine would want to see, but I'll do a very short separate video for that. I don't want to give away the exact address. Right to the end of Harbour Road, and we'll come to the harbour, funny enough. Now that I've zoomed in a little bit, at the far end of the harbour you can see some houses on the end of the headland there, which was the old boatyard. a little bit closer to the boatyard now, and at the other end of the harbour we can see right across the water there, and right in front of us, if I can zoom in a little, Broughty Castle, the Broughty Ferry. Further out to the east, out towards the mouth of the river, and you have Monifieth, and then coming back in the way is the east end of Dundee. That was just a very quick trip into Tayport. Heading on back up the hill now out of Tayport itself, and our next stop will be the far end of Newport on Tay, which is called Wormit, and it's also the other end of the rail bridge. Where we came in from the approach to the bridge, and we'll pass underneath the bridge now and head on into Newport on Tay and straight the way through to Wormit. Here's another view of the Wormit end of the bridge, looking right the way back across, right over to Dundee, and all the way up to the Law, with the city centre in the foreground. Okay, going to make my way back in from Wormit, back down into Newport on Tay. Now I'll see if I can get close enough to see where the ferry used to come in, or what was commonly known on both sides of the river as the Fife. Now you can't really see an awful lot of it these days, but this is where the Fife would have come in on the Fife side, and it would have left from Dundee more or less at Discovery Point. Discovery Point is right in front of us there, just to the left of the V&A building. And if I come back over to this side of the water, there's why there's no Fife anymore. 1966 the bridge was opened, 1966 the Fife stopped. Now from our final stop of the day, which is the car park at the south side of the bridge, we'll take a look back across to the north, and there's Dundee city centre, and panning out to the eastern side with the rigs in the foreground. Some more of the rigs and the docks, including Victoria Dock where you saw the unicorn the other day, and then back up over to the Law. Now if I can zoom in again, up about there somewhere is where my mother's house is, and that's where you usually see me starting my videos. Well, that's the end of our mini trip. It's now time to head back. Back on the bridge and on our way home. And the house straight in front, about 3/4 of the way up that big hill. One and a half miles later, and we're back in Dundee. There you go then, the end of another week. Please take time to comment anything below, turn the grey thumb blue to like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks in advance. Good to see you here, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay safe, stay well, see you soon, hopefully.